Oh, the new segment that we introduced last week, we're going to talk about now. So, if you listened to the episode last week, you should have done your homework and you should have watched the first three episodes of Kakushigoto. Now, okay, there we
Kakushigoto.
go. Kakushigoto. There we go. You should have watched it by now because now we're going to talk about it. And this is the point where we discuss it and say, yeah, you need to watch it, or um, it's interesting, and that's all. So I'm gonna give it a yes.
Yep, I will also give it a yes. I'll leave it to you to do a rundown of at least what the content was, but this is not necessarily my kind of show. And by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the second episode, I was pleasantly surprised about how watchable it was, how short form it could be. So, like, if you want to catch like about 10 to 15 minutes of of a story and then turn it off and then get the other half, like, it was just formatted in a way I wasn't expecting, with these like two halves being two sort of different mini slice of life episodes, but they were all pleasant and fun. So yeah, I give it a yes.
Yeah. Um, my yes is based off of my prior preconceived notions of the series because the opening to the show gives me a huge um it basically was very, well, like foreboding, not foreboding. Basically, it's just like, okay, I know the dad's gonna die. The dad's gonna die eventually, but then they also highlight the mother in the opening. And for me, I kind of was caught off guard by the first two episodes until the end of the second episode because I thought the overall tone or theme of the series was going to be a lot more serious than what it actually was. It's actually way more comedy slash slice of life than it is actual drama and seriousness. But what I came to enjoy about the show by the end of the second episode is they are slowly yet surely tackling the serious elements. They're just not throwing it in your face immediately. So we get glimpses of Hime, which is the daughter, and then you have Kakushi, who's the father. And so we start to get glimpses of Hime's life without a mother, and we get glimpses of other people kind of, judging Hime for like her living conditions, even though her living conditions aren't really even that bad. It's just that it's another secret that her father is keeping from her. And we don't find that out until the next episode where basically the house that they live in the area that they lived in when she was a child was the exact replica of another house that they used to live in, which I'm assuming which was the house that they lived in when the mother was alive.
Yeah, I got that
And
same vibe.
yeah, and so what I'm assuming is also that he basically couldn't live in the house no more. Like he just couldn't take it. Or it's also where like he kept all the secrets. And we also see Hime like in different ages. So like we see her as a 10-year-old going to school with ignorant classmates, and not like willful ignorant, but like childhood innocence where it's like, well, I have this, why don't you have it? And it's clearly things that Hime has never thought about, nor has she thought to ask her father. What she usually does, or what I'm seeing her do, is she usually takes it upon herself to remedy the situation as opposed to burdening her father. And these are all things that like occurred during these first three episodes, and they're not like thrown in your face. You're kind of just like, oh shit, like they never really discussed the mom's death. Does she really even know anything about the death? And then those boxes showed up,
Right.
and I was like, oh shit. I was like, so the mother put all these boxes aside for Hime for when she reaches a certain age and certain things that apparently Kakushi didn't even know about. And so I'm excited. Like I definitely thought it was way more comedy than I was expecting, but the way that they intertwine the comedy and the like more like serious aspects of the show, I actually really enjoy that. Also, the way that they animate the water is insane. It looks so fucking beautiful. It's so gorgeous. That beach, I was like, I want to look at the water. You guys should do a free episode because this looks
Yeah,
delicious.
I
I want to drink that
enjoyed. I
water.
didn't, again, I went in with no preconceived idea of what the series was beyond slice of life about the father who isn't. I guess he's sort of like, I thought it was gonna be like more Arrow manga, but it just sounds like he had a lot of dirty jokes in like
Yeah.
a lot of his most popular series were just like dirty comedy series.
Yes.
So right away, once they clarified that, I was like, oh, this is really going to be more of a comedy. And because I didn't have any other ideas about what it was going to be, I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of things. The production was very, like, I'm using the word light, but I'm saying that in the sense of it didn't, when you looked at a scene or, the animation or everything else, everything is kind of floated along, sort of like when they describe the Kakushi as sort of like needing to be in a relaxed state in order to do his best work. I feel like that translated out into the presentation of the show itself, is that for the most part, when you're in the farthest point in the past, it is super, super, like, I use the word relaxed. Something about the slight changes in art style as they changed times. So, like, things got a lot more crisp and clear when you're seeing present day, the present day rather than, the older stories. So it was like little things like that stuck out to me. The tone was always just a hair above serious, even when they start to introduce those story beats with the mother and also analyzing sort of the culture and society that's around them. I mean, even in the first episode, there's sort of a mocking tone taken towards modernity. So, like, they spend half an episode riffing on hipsters and making an allegory between people who live that kind of fast city life and sorcerers or wizards. I got a good laugh when they were talking about, like, ordering from Starbucks, and it sounded like they were speaking, an incantation to summon the thing that they want. And it was at that moment where I'm like, oh, some humor is very, very universal. Yeah. So I definitely appreciated that. And then the characters are, again, always a hair above seriousness. Whether it's the teacher, I guess how old was she? She was supposed to be 10 years old. The teacher that we meet. I don't know, the elementary school teacher. Sensei. I forget her name.
Ichiko Sensei.
Yeah, right. Like just like all the people who are doing things and sort of putting out the more like the adult ideas or the commentary about adult society and what's going on. They say their piece and they mean it in canon of the story, but it's presented as if it is a satire. So
yes.
So that's what I mean. It's very easy to watch because you don't have to, like I'm watching Decadence. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, what the hell, the power and this thing, and is this an allegory or something else? And I'm watching Kakushigoto. I'm like, what they say is exactly what they mean, and the characters are all pretty broad. Like, the assistants, they're funny.
I'm actually really interested to see how the assistants come into play later in Hime's life, because clearly Kakushi's not there no more.
No.
So I'm interested to see how that pans out too.
Yeah, and he is funny in the sense that, like,
he's got a daughter complex.
He does, but in like the I want to be praised and respected by my child, and not the other kind of daughter complex.
Oh God. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that needed to be clarified.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, everything he does is about, like, his fear of disappointing her by being not a great and, laudable parent that he thinks she deserves. He doesn't think he's very good. And even though he seems to have had some success, I mean, he bought 2 houses and is well known enough that people want his, signature or art or all this other stuff. It just, he's a relatable kind of guy, and I'm a sucker for struggling parent narratives. And no matter what the genre is, like, I understand, even as someone without kids, like what that must feel like, and they do a good job here of humanizing even some of the wackier elements of that struggle. Like, hiding his endless quest to just like not be recognized in public by her, and it seems like she is
Yeah.
preternaturally disposed to find him, when he's out and about in his other outfit. So that was cool. It was a good show.
Oh, you did also say about oh well, I guess I'll talk a little bit about Mario,
Yes.
the cross dresser in the shop. It was just really, and this actually occurs in a lot of Japanese shows, because this was in that Sherlock Holmes show recently also, where they're male cross dressers, and I don't know if they like are trans or in the process of transitioning. I also will just be very clear, I do not know the Japanese term for them. I know there's one, otokonoko, but I think that one is more so geared towards like younger guys who can like actively pass as feminine and female, and this is a person who is like very clearly like they still have their like shadow, their beard and stuff, like they still have very like clear manly features, but they're just in women's clothing with like women's hair and stuff like that. And with Mario the character, there's not much that is explained about the character or that goes into depth about the character, but what I enjoy about this and a lot of other things with anime and how they approach this subject is that it is just approached as they are just a regular person in the community.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated that, because my eyebrow always goes up when I see particular tropes repeated, and that's one of them. But I think, as you pointed out rightly, so far that character has never been the butt of a joke wherein the operating feature that's being satirized or played up for humor is his identity or his presentation. And that's a level of sensitivity that is not always there. I mean, there are plenty of great examples in other shows and other anime and movies from Japan where they do a perfectly fine job, and there's nothing really objectionable there. But there are also plenty of examples where that's not true. So I always sort of just hold my breath a little bit to see where the writing is and where the headspace is for these types of roles. And I like the character. I think that the gags around him and the shop and everything else are fun. He clearly has some importance to the main character, just beyond just being a figure, someone who's very understanding of Kakushi's position, and so what he's struggling with, and so is helpful. It's just genuinely helpful. So I just appreciated that.
Kakushigoto.
Goto?
Whoa, god damn it. Yes. Well, fucked it up again.
Whatever.
But Kakushigoto. I'm so bad at this one.